Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science Classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss current affairs of 29th November 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 8 topics which are very much relevant from our UPSC point of view. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see which are the topics that we are going to discuss in this lecture. Let us have a small introduction regarding those topics. So first one, it is about Omicron. So now what happened, our government which is mainly talking about opening of our international flights. But what happened, there is spread of this Omicron. So Omicron, it is a new variant of coronavirus which is having more than 50 mutations. So it is one of cause of concern. So because of this Omicron risk, yesterday's lecture we studied about one article regarding some guidelines regarding international travelers. So again, center tightens this international travelers rules. So because of this is a news and this is important from our international relations. And next topic, it is about in-flight Wi-Fi, that is Wi-Fi. So in-flight Wi-Fi hits a dead zone in India. So if you're talking about flights, we are having international flights and also we are having domestic flights. International flights means which mainly flies between two countries or more than two countries. And domestic flight means within India. So these flights are moving, for example, from Delhi to Hyderabad to Bangalore, like that. So what happened in domestic flight, there is no Wi-Fi facility. So what is the reason? The reason here is to install the antenna. So it is a very costly. It will take 3 to 4 crore rupees and we can't recover that amount from passengers because in domestic flights there is high amount of competition that is mainly seen. So because of this, there is a dead zone of Wi-Fi in India. So this is the explanation of this title. And this topic will be important from governance point of view. And next topic, it is about norovirus. So 57 norovirus cases confirmed in Thrissur. So here you need to know about some facts regarding this norovirus. And next topic, it is about our Prime Minister Mann Ki Baat. So in this Mann Ki Baat address of our Prime Minister, he mainly said that India turned into a nation of job creators than job seekers. So here it mainly talked about unicorns. Okay, so you are going to see what are those unicorns that will be important from governance and even economy point of view. And next topic, it is about access to mobiles. So actually in page number 8 I found infographic which is regarding access to mobiles for this online learning in India during this COVID-19 pandemic. And this will be important from education, which mainly comes under our GS paper too. And next topic, it is about India Bangladesh to deepen its ties. Okay, so it is about India Bangladesh relations, and this will be important from international relations point of view. And next topic, it is about scale up supplies. So especially due to this Omicron, so whatever the vaccines that we are providing, especially there are many vaccines are present in our world regarding this COVID-19. For example, I can talk about Sputnik, I can talk about Pfizer vaccine and Moderna. In India, we have Covishield and as well as Covaxin. So we need to increase supply of these vaccines to other countries where the vaccination percentage is very low, especially in Africa. And next one is importance of local language. So this article, it is about local language like Kannada in Karnataka. So here we need to talk about what is the importance of local language. So this topic is important from governance point of view. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see first article. So first article, it is regarding this Omicron risk. Center tightens rules for overseas travelers. So it is about Omicron risk. So here, what are the different dimensions we can talk about? We can relate this topic with our yesterday's article regarding guidelines for this international travelers, and now again center tightens this guidelines, and here we need to know about Omicron. So why Omicron it is dangerous, we need to also know that points. Okay, now let us try to see context. If you see context, it mainly says that the Union Health Ministry revised guidelines mandating that all international passengers who are entering India have to submit 14-day travel details. Okay, so whenever any international traveler who want to visit India, he need to submit 14-day travel details, and he need to upload negative PCR, negative RT-PCR, reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction report in Air Suvidha portal, okay, before the journey. And these new guidelines that will come into effect from day after tomorrow, that is from December 1st, okay. So from December 1st onwards, so these new guidelines that come into effect. If you're talking about the details which are given in this article, it mainly says that RT-PCR, reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, that should be conducted within 72 hours, which is prior to the flight. So prior to taking the flight, within 72 hours, so and so person, they need to take this RT-PCR test, and RT-PCR test that should be negative, okay. The decision on effective date of resumption of scheduled commercial international passenger service as per evaluating or evolving this global scenario, while keeping a closer watch on emerging pandemic situation within the country. So what happened because of emerging of new variants of this coronavirus? Now if you want to open for this commercial international flights or international passenger services, it is one of cause of concern regarding this Omicron. And next one is the Health Ministry guidelines, which mainly says that travelers from countries at risk, okay, for example, countries like UK, South Africa, Brazil, Bangladesh, Botswana, China, Mauritius, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, Singapore, Hong Kong and Israel, they need to take a COVID-19 test post arrival as well, and after getting their results only they can come into this India, or else they need to wait till the results are coming in airport itself. So if they tested negative, means they can undergo home quarantine for 7 days. And next one is on arrival, if the person who is having some symptoms during the screening, they shall be immediately isolated and they shall be taken to medical facility as per protocol. So if tested positive, means their contact shall be identified and managed as per laid protocol. And if you're talking about some facts regarding this Omicron, so the number of cases in South Africa has increased 4 times. So mainly because of this Omicron. So the name, it is B.1.1.529 variant, okay. So this B.1.1.529 variant, which mainly discovered in South Africa, and here this variant, which mainly categorized as SARS coronavirus 2 variant of concern by WHO recently, and this variant, which is named as Omicron. So why it is very much dangerous? Because so there is evidence of negative influence on diagnosis, treatment and as well as immunization, because there are more than 50 mutations that are mainly seen, and out of these 50, many of them they are seen in spike protein. So where this spike protein is present on surface of this coronavirus, we have this spike protein, and these spike protein, which are very much responsible for entering of virus into our body, they will bind to this ACE receptor, right, and they will enter into our body. So whenever there is mutations which are happening in this spike protein, our cells will not identify that as a foreign body. So because of this, they cannot be much effective, and there is also evidence of significant reduction in sensitivity to one or more therapeutic cases. So for one or more therapeutic cases, there is evidence of significant reduction in sensitivity as well. And next one is there is also some evidence of diminished vaccine induced protection against severe illness, okay. So there is also evidence of diminished vaccine induced protection. So what is this vaccine induced protection? So after taking of vaccines, so these vaccine mainly contain some particles of virus. So these particles of virus will be detected by our immune system, and in response to that, our body will release antibodies, right. So if you are taking vaccines, means you will be having antibodies in your body. So these antibodies will fight against these antigens. So because of mutations, what happened? So these antigens, they are not detected by our antibodies that are already present in our body if we take this vaccines. So because of this, that will lead to decrease in efficacy of our vaccines. And there is also some possible attributes like that will also leads to increase in transmission of this coronavirus, and will also worsening the disease. So these are the some important points that you need to remember regarding this article. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says in flight Wi-Fi hits a dead zone in India. So this article talking about Wi-Fi availability in domestic flights. So if you're talking about flights, we are having international flights and as well as we are having domestic flights. So now let us try to understand what is the context. If you see context, it mainly says that 3 years after Department of Telecom permitted Wi-Fi services on commercial flights. On commercial flights, our Department of Telecom mainly permitted for this Wi-Fi services, and it is yet to become a reality for domestic air travelers. Okay, so for domestic air travelers, they are not getting this Wi-Fi. There is a huge gap in installation cost and as well as impact of this COVID-19 on passenger demand. So if you see details, it mainly says that domestic carriers, they have been slow in offering the service because of retrofitting aircraft with the required antenna it is mainly expensive. So when we want to get this Wi-Fi availability in the flights, on the flights we need to go for establishing of antenna. But establishing of antenna, it is not an easy process. It will take about 12 hours of time, and even it is a very much costly. Okay, so because of this, airlines, they find it is very much difficult to pass on the cost to even passengers, because in this domestic airlines, for example, I can say like Indigo is there, Air India is there, so Kingfisher is there. So there are many domestic flights that are operating. So there is also increasing of competition between all these. So because of this, it is very difficult to pass on the cost to passengers. So however, international airlines, for example, Lufthansa, Air France, Emirates, they have started offering this service of Wi-Fi. Okay, and the equipment mainly cost around 3 to 4 crore rupees for one aircraft. Okay, so because of this, it is very much difficult to recover the cost from passengers. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says 57 norovirus cases confirmed in Thrissur. So this article mainly talking about this norovirus. So you need to know about some facts regarding this norovirus. It will be very important from your prelims. From especially you need to know facts regarding this norovirus, because in science and technology you will be having a topic like communicable and non-communicable disease. So in that area we need to know about this virus, because if at all any disease which is in news means that will be very important from our UPSC point of view. So if you see context, it mainly says that norovirus infection has been confirmed in 54 students. So in 54 students, this norovirus had been confirmed, and 3 workers in a hostel of the St. Mary's College, Thrissur, they identified this norovirus cases. So now let us try to see some important details. If you are talking about this norovirus, it is a very highly contagious virus. It is a very contagious virus, and it mainly causes gastrointestinal illness. So some signs and symptoms we can see like diarrhea will be there, vomiting will be there. So why it is a cause of concern? Whenever you are having vomitings or diarrhea, so your body fluids will be gone out of your body. So because of this, you will be feeling dehydration. So here we need to take hydration. Hydration is one of the important treatment option for this norovirus. So this virus which mainly cause inflammation in the stomach and as well as our gastric linings and even like intestines, etc. So if you are focusing on especially symptoms of this norovirus, they mainly includes diarrhea, vomiting, stomach pain, nausea, gastrointestinal problems, fever, headache and as well as body ache. So these are some signs and symptoms of this norovirus. And if you are talking about how can we prevent this norovirus, so we need to go for repeatedly hand washing with using of soap and water, and especially after using toilets or changing diapers. After changing diapers or after using toilets, we need to go for repeatedly washing of our hands by using soap. And hand washing with soap and water before eating and as well as before cooking and before handling of food, it is also very much helpful. And washing of fruits and vegetables thoroughly before we use, And next one is people who are interacting with animals, they should take special care than compared to that of ordinary people. And people who are living in areas that are very much highly prone to this norovirus outbreak should be taken like chlorinated water. So as you know, whenever water which is mainly treated with the chlorine, that will helpful for the elimination or killing of bacteria and other organisms. So if you're talking about treatment, there is no treatment as such for this norovirus. So there is no treatment for this norovirus, but we can go for symptomatically treatment. That means if you are having diarrhea, if you are having vomiting, you can take drugs for that or medicines for that. So this is gist of this topic, and I hope it is at most clear. And now let us try to see this infographic. Title says that smartphone access for learning is not adequate. So it is according to Acer report as well. And now let us try to see what is written in this article. Let me read out. So while smartphones availability among school children nearly doubled from 36.5% in 2018 to I can say like 67.6% in 2021. So here there is increasing of availability of smartphones for children, that is from 36.5% to 67.6% in 2021. Just over 1/4 of them could actually access it for their studies. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly said here. And if you see here this table which mainly talking about Acer list of 2018, 2000 and as well as 2021. Okay, so in 2020, 61.8% of students, they had a smartphone available in home. So if you're talking about some more important points which are given here, so first important highlight which mainly said here is among major states, Kerala was the one where over 50% of school students, they could access the smartphone, especially for this online learning. And nearly 40% of students from the grade 1 to grade 2, they do not have any access for this mobile phones. Okay, so these are some important infographic, and you can save this data in your data book. So that will be very, very important. Okay, so now let us try to see next topic. Okay, title says India has turned into a nation of job creators, not seekers. This is the thing which mainly said by our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat address. So every month here our Prime Minister will go for monthly bath. So here in this Mann Ki Baat, our Prime Minister mainly talked about this unicorns. So India, it is not a nation of job seekers, it is a nation of job creators. So now let us try to understand in which context our Prime Minister said this statement in his Mann Ki Baat address. So now if you see context, it mainly says that the turning point of India's growth story is that India has become a nation of job creators rather than job seekers. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, hailing a recent surge in startups valued over $1 billion. So here in his Mann Ki Baat address, our Prime Minister said that there is a turning point in India's growth story. India, it is going to become a job creators rather than job seekers. Why? Because the unicorns or number of startups that are present in India, they are valuing about over $1 billion. So if you see some important details, it mainly says that addressing the nation through his monthly Mann Ki Baat radio program, our Prime Minister also reminded listeners that pandemic is still going on. We should not think that pandemic is ended, and we need to maintain some safety protocols. Okay. So in his address to this Mann Ki Baat, our Prime Minister reminded that pandemic, it is not at all over. We need to take some necessary precautions and safety protocols that need to be followed. So during his address, Mr. Modi ji, our Prime Minister, noted that till 2015 in our country there are only 9 or 10 unicorns are present. Okay, but now there is increasing of this unicorns that is seen in India. So it is according to report. According to a report, a big change has come this year. In just 10 months, unicorn has been raised in India every 10 days. Okay. So because of this, our Prime Minister said that there are 70 unicorns are present in India. So I'm saying unicorns. What is this unicorns? You need to know what is this unicorns, right? So unicorns are nothing but they are privately owned firm. Okay, they are privately owned firm with market capitalization of more than $1 billion. Okay, so if they are having more than $1 billion, they mainly refer as unicorn. So here this unicorn, it mainly denotes new entities which are mainly decided to offering creative solutions and as well as new businesses models and among other things. Okay, so it mainly denotes new entities. Okay, and if you are talking about recently RBI reports, according to this RBI reports also, India, which is currently third in the global list of nations which containing large number of these unicorns. First and second is USA and China, and third is India. So in the same carbon emissions also USA first, second is China, and third one is India. So you can correlate this thing. And if you're talking about origin of this word unicorns, so in 1997, one book, that is Innovator's Dilemma. So here Christensen, who mainly popularized this word, that is unicorn. So the concept was the small businesses with little resources might disrupt technology by establishing a completely new way of doing things. Okay, so in this way, whenever there is increasing of the small businesses and as well as startup, that will help mainly to create jobs. And if you're talking about this unicorn, what are the characteristics? If you're talking about characteristics of this unicorn, in the venture capital sector, unicorn, it is a startup with a valuation of $1 billion or more. Only a privately owned startup has potential to become a unicorn. Okay, so even though if there are many startups which are mainly established, means if they are not having or if they are not reaching this $1 billion, means they will be not coming under this unicorn. So they have to work hard, and the potential they need to have to become unicorn. And unicorns, they are known for disruptive innovation and even high technology, new ideas, and as well as customer focus. So these are some important characteristics of these unicorns, and I hope it is clear. Now let us try to see next topic. Title says India Bangladesh to deepen ties as partners. So this is a thing which mainly said by our Minister Goel. So this article, it is about India Bangladesh relations. So if you open your syllabus regarding your international relations, we have our neighborhood relations. That means Bangladesh, it is also sharing boundary. Here we have Bangladesh, right? In Bangladesh and India are sharing boundary here in this region. So they have both opening to Bay of Bengal. So this is one important thing that you need to remember. And there are many rivers from India, they are going and they are finally joining here Bangladesh. Joining here in this Bay of Bengal, and they are flowing through Bangladesh. For example, I can talk about river Brahmaputra, river Ganga, etc. Okay, so here relationship with our neighbors is very, very important, right? As you all know that good relationship is very, very important, mainly to safeguard our borders. If you are talking about why it is in news, because India Bangladesh CEO Forum, okay, we are going to have this India Bangladesh CEO Forum will meet soon for the first time. Even as two countries, they are also working towards finalizing CEPA, that is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. So if you know about this CEPA, please comment below what is the CEPA. If you don't know also, please let me know. In tomorrow's lecture, we are going to start with that CEPA. Okay, so India and Bangladesh, they are working towards finalizing of this CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. It is mainly regarding trade. It is mainly regarding trade and also to build up economic ties. So if you're talking about details, it mainly says that congratulating Bangladesh Prime Minister on country's transition from least developed to developing country. Now Bangladesh is also developing a nation. So mainly to upgradation of the status of Bangladesh, our minister congratulated Bangladesh Prime Minister. And India mainly stands shoulder to shoulder with the country's leadership and people in their development journey. So in their development journey, India mainly is one of the important helping hand. And India-Bangladesh supply chains also worked uninterrupted during this pandemic also. So during this pandemic, that led to supply chain disruptions, but regarding India and Bangladesh, there is no interruption, that is uninterrupted services. And in this context, our minister also said that improving connectivity is very much important for expanding and as well as for realizing potential for bilateral trade and as well as investment. So for potential bilateral trade and investment, so for all these things, we need to go for expanding of our ties between India and Bangladesh. So since 2014 onwards, we have scaled up, that is, we have increased our trade and as well as economic engagement as partners and not competitors. So regarding this economic trade and as well as economic engagement between India and Bangladesh, it is not like a competition, but we are like a partners. And Bangladesh is India's biggest trading partner. And if you are talking about in South Asia, for India, Bangladesh is one of the trading partner. And the volume of the trade between India and Bangladesh is about $10 billion. And even regarding this coronavirus vaccine, also India mainly sent over 1 crore of COVID-19 vaccine doses to the country. And if you're talking about highlights which are given in this article, it mainly says that the first meeting of India-Bangladesh CEO Forum, that is mainly focusing to promote mutual investments between these two countries. And you're also focused on this bilateral textile industry. And they are also focusing for cooperation between these two countries regarding this textile sector. And India is also developing 2 villages, 2 Indian economic zones at Mirsarai and as well as Mongla. So here for this also our Prime Minister Modi's invitation to about 50 young entrepreneurs from Bangladesh. Okay, and if you're talking about 5 important areas where we can have a good relationship or good economic ties between India and Bangladesh, they include mainly technology, connectivity, entrepreneurship, health and as well as tourism. So this is about this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says scale up supplies. So this article mainly talking about this COVID-19 vaccines. It is mainly talking about this COVID-19 vaccines. So now let us try to see this topic, and this will be very important from our health, which mainly comes at the GS paper 2. So it is regarding outbreak of this Omicron variant. So now let's try to see this topic in a very great detail. So here central theme mainly says that vaccines must be made widely available across the world if pandemic it is to end. To mainly end or to fight against this pandemic, we need to go for increasing the supply of vaccines, because we are seeing vaccine inequity. That means all countries, they are not having equal number of vaccines or equal supply of vaccines. Some countries, they already completed first dose, second dose, and they are talking about booster dose. And in some countries, there is nothing like first dose is not yet even given. For example, African countries. So whenever there is no proper vaccine availability, means that will lead to different mutations. So whenever there is a different mutations are coming in coronavirus, then what happens? That will again leads to affecting countries. Each and every country will going to affect with new mutants. So mainly to end up pandemic, we need to increase supply of vaccines. So if you're talking about this article, which mainly says that a new Greek tragedy has arisen with WHO mainly declared this Omicron as a variant of concern. So as you all know that yesterday's and day before yesterday's lecture, we studied about this Omicron. It is a new variant of coronavirus. So while it took WHO several weeks to designate this older variant of concern like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, etc. Okay, so to declare that as variant of concern, WHO took much time, but regarding this Omicron, it does not take much time. But what happened in the case of this Omicron? In case of this Omicron, which was first confirmed in Botswana, and it moved without even waiting for reports on variants which mainly increased likelihood to cause disease. Okay, so even as soon as it is founded, it mainly declared as variant of concern by WHO. Omicron has now been confirmed in different countries like South Africa, Botswana, UK, Germany, Italy, etc., even in Netherlands and Israel. So there is one article in our world page that there are about 13 cases are detected in this Netherlands regarding this Omicron. And it also reportedly said that about 50 mutations are seen in this variant, and out of these 32 are seen just in spike protein. So this spike protein is very important for entry of virus into our body, because it mainly attaches to this ACE receptor. And several of these mutations mainly confer the virus resistance to monoclonal antibodies. So for example, if you are taking even monoclonal antibodies like atezolizumab and as well as bamlanivimab and casirivimab, so they are not much effective. So the virus has been detected in comparable numbers only in South Africa's Gauteng province here. Okay, but here the variant comprises of over 90% of fraction of genomes from those who tested positive within just 10 days. So it is one of the cause of concern here. So because of this, some nations they have already imposed travel bans for the people who are coming from this South Africa. So travel ban mainly punishes South Africa for its transparency and as well as forthrightness of alerting world regarding this new mutant variant. So here, because of this, here the important thing that all countries they can do rather than travel ban here is they need to provide or supply this COVID-19 vaccines to African countries, especially to decrease the effect of this mutant. And now let us try to see next topic. It is about local language. Here we are going to understand what is the importance of local language. So here we are having different types of local language, and especially if you are talking in our constitution also, we are having Schedule 8 of Indian Constitution, which mainly talks about official language. So let me know how many official languages are present in our 8th schedule of Indian Constitution. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this article is regarding Karnataka, but we are not focusing on what is happening in Karnataka, but we are going to see what is the importance of local language. Why we need to talk about local language? Because even in our NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020, which also said that here we need to go for giving or providing education in the mother tongue. And even if you're talking about other countries like China and some other countries, so there even higher education which is mainly taught in their local language. Okay, so even though if you're teaching education in local language, it is not at all like a diminishing of our education, because if you're talking about China and other countries, they are excelling, right? So this is the thing we can also connect like this. Now let us try to see what is written in this article. For several decades onward, successive government in Karnataka, they mainly made many attempts to make it mandatory for students to learn Kannada as a subject. So it is not the thing which is happening now, but from several decades onwards, government of Karnataka, which is mainly focusing that Kannada should be learned as a subject. So such attempts have met with opposition from some quarters, and there is a long drawn legal battles. So because of this move, which is mainly covered by different governments, so there is like opposition which is mainly coming up. So if you're talking about present context, issue has again come into fore with the government which is issuing an order, that is GO which is issued by Karnataka government in August 2021, stating that undergraduate students they should learn, that is mandatory to learn Kannada as one of the two languages from 2021 to 2022 academic year. They need to learn this Kannada. So the state government has argued that this is in line with this NEP, National Education Policy of 2020. So here it mainly says that we need to preserve and we need to promote culture, and we need to preserve and promote our mother tongue. So this is the thing which also present in our fundamental rights. And next one is, it also states that learning Indian languages needs to be integrated into school and as well as higher education at every level. At higher education, even at a primary education, we need to go for teaching subjects in the mother tongue. So if you're talking about a brief history of this local language agitation which is happening in Karnataka. So Karnataka has had checkered history as far as language learning is concerned. So if you're talking about in Karnataka, so there is a one agitation which is happening regarding this Kannada language. So state government has faced setback after first language policy of 1994, which mainly squashed by Supreme Court in May 2014. So in May 2014, whatever the language policy which come up by this Karnataka government of 1994, which mainly squashed by Supreme Court. So the language policy, why it is squashed? Because it mainly mandated medium of instruction for students in lower primary classes should be regional language or mother tongue. So after here the party lost in 2014, state government introduced one act, that is Kannada Language Learning Act of 2015. So this act, which mainly states that either the first or second language for students in schools, that should be Kannada language. So most of the schools, they began teaching in Kannada language, but some central boards, some affiliated schools and institutions, they mainly made it as third language. So the biggest movement to promote Kannada learning dates back to 1980s, not now. So when this Gokak committee submitted its report in 1981, it recommended for local language. Okay, so this is gist of this topic, and I hope it is clear. So apart from this, in page number 6, you can see number of articles regarding this COP26. We already have enough discussion, and also there is one more article regarding yesterday's lecture, that is continuation of yesterday's article, is also seen in page number 6. So please refer those two articles. So this is homework for you people. So by this I'm concluding today. So before concluding, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. So we came up with this prelims test series and as well as mains answer writing course. So in this prelims test series, there are about 30 tests which are mainly based on CSAT and as well as our GS. So in GS we have sectional test and as well as revision test and as well as full length test. So this test series will be very helpful for you to understand the question pattern, and as well as it will be very helpful to practice your elimination techniques, and also helpful to understand or to maintain time management as well. So for this, the cost is just 5,000 rupees only. You can easily join this course and this will be highly beneficial. And next one is about mains answer writing course. Here in this course, we are especially focusing on static syllabus. So GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4 along with essay and case studies. So you might have not seen, and it is 100% sure that you will be not finding this type of course anywhere throughout India in any institute. So in this course, we are mainly focusing on static syllabus. We are giving you detailed syllabus, time schedule and as well as micro listing of topics, and daily one question will be given. It will be not much burden on you people. It will not change your earlier timetable as well. On Sunday, there will be essay or case study. Okay. And one more thing I want to say here is there will be evaluation and one-to-one mentorship as well. And we also provide you model answer. Okay, and there is also new foundation course we came up, and you can also join that foundation course. It is also very beneficial. It is also affordable. And the next one is, if you want to take individual courses like economy, history, geography, you can also take that thing. So if you have any doubts, any queries regarding these courses, please contact us on this number 8074765513. Okay, and don't forget to subscribe to these courses. That will be very useful, and you can believe us 100%. Please trust us. So by this I'm concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod's IAS and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. Thank you so much.